How niche can board games be while remaining marketable products? I'm Adam Porter, I'm a board game designer from Wales. I have 10 games on the market and more on the way. And in this video, I'm going to be dipping back into comments that have been put onto my YouTube videos. I've got hundreds of videos on this channel, all about all different aspects of board game design. I'm going to be looking at those comments and trying to respond to them. So I've picked out some of the comments which I think have been most interesting to me over recent weeks or months. And the first comment comes from a video which was called Pitch Perfect, the ultimate guide to pitching your board game prototype. It's a video that I made some time ago. So let's have a little recap, just a few seconds to show you some of that video. You need to remember that this is a business interaction. This is not just an extension of your hobby. If you are pitching a game to somebody, the intention is that they are going to take that game and make some money from it and have contractual arrangements with you whereby you receive royalty payments and advance payments and so on. It's a business meeting, and as such, you should be going in there as a professional. And the comment was, "Hi Adam, I'm a geology professor and a member of the Cymric diaspora in the New World from Betis and Llangilfon back in the 1840s. I'm going to pick up your book on Amazon." Nice, thank you very much for picking up my book on Amazon. So how niche-y, this is the question, how niche-y can games be and still be viable as marketable products? Immediately I think of games like Wingspan. That's the one that kind of looms large in my head as the big sort of shocking mega hit over recent years. And it is a few years old now, but I don't think anyone expected Wingspan to be as big as it was. Now, how niche is Wingspan? It's sort of a little bit niche, isn't it? It's a game that is kind of for bird watchers, but it's not just for bird watchers. It's kind of for anyone who likes birds. But what we're essentially doing is gathering up cards with different types of birds and facts about birds and all sorts of images, buying expansions with more birds. It's very bird heavy, is Wingspan. So that's sort of niche, but then everybody quite likes birds, don't they? So maybe we can go more niche than that. This chap here is a geology professor. So if this chap decided to create a game that was about geology, how well would that sell? Now, I think potentially it could. I mean, we've had recent games that were big hits like In the Footsteps of Darwin, and the follow-up has just come out, In the Footsteps of Marie Curie. So these are games about scientists and their lives. So a game around geology wouldn't be completely out there, but it depends how deep you go into that geology thing. If you made a game around natural disasters and natural rock formations or plate tectonics, then I think those concepts are broad enough and understood well enough by a large number of the general population that you could probably make a really good, interesting game that people would buy into. But if you go into the real detail of a science, something which people just aren't going to understand, something that maybe you and your colleagues really, really enjoy, you might find you've got a very limited market from there. So I would say you can go into a niche, but you might want to stay very broad within that niche. The next question comes from a video called Prioritise Your Board Game Concepts. So I'll show you a quick clip of that one. 10 years into my career as a board game designer, I still find I have new game concepts popping into my head throughout each day. Often when I'm doing something completely unrelated to game design, walking the dog, driving to the shops, or taking a shower. And with so many ideas, it can be hard to stay focused on the projects which have genuine value or promise. All ideas are worth noting down for future consideration, but I'm going to give you a method to help you decide which of your ideas are worth spending time on. And here's the question. I am my own worst critic when it comes to design. I have a habit of abandoning an idea when I view it as an outside person. And I feel for this person, but my advice is, it's not your job to view it as an outside person. There are many, many outside people who really exist, who are actually outside people. Use them, right? This is a sign to me, it indicates to me that this person is giving up before playtesting their prototype. And I think that's the mistake. It doesn't matter if the game is bad, get it in front of people, find out why it's bad, right? And what's good about it, what's worth developing, and so on. Playtesting is the answer, is the solution to this particular problem. Get genuine outside people to look at your game and tell you what works and what doesn't work. Don't rely on your own instinct, because you're full of biases and preconceptions and anxieties and so on and so forth. I mentioned earlier my book. I do like to promote my book a little bit on these videos, don't I? So I have a book which is available called Adam in Wales Board Game Designer Journal. This is available right now on Amazon all around the world because it's a print-on-demand product, but also you can download a copy of it by PDF on Drive-Thru RPG. Now, I have a second book which is going to be coming out very soon, which is all about playtesting. Okay, so keep an eye out for that. It should be coming up in the next few weeks, but that might help this person. Next question then comes from a video called Can You Really Do Both? Juggling Game Design with a Full-Time Career. So let me just show you a clip from that video. If you've watched many of my videos and if you've spent a lot of time around game design circles, then you'll know that the vast majority of these games that we all love are not designed by full-time game designers. Most of these people have another job, and so do I. I'm a dentist, a full-time dentist and dental educator. I've got a family, I've got other hobbies and interests, I've got dogs, I've got all sorts of other things that have a demand on my time, and game design is actually a relatively small amount of time in my sort of working week. But it looms quite large in my head. I think about it a lot, okay? And I take the opportunities where I can to get designs made. And I've done it successfully, and you can do that too. And the question says, would you say your career puts a dent in your ability to create more board games? Or would you probably be creating games at the same pace even if you were able to do it full time? So my full-time career, I'm a dentist, I'm a dental educator and a dental advisor. It's a pretty full-on job, and it definitely is full-time. And yeah, there's no doubt that it puts a dent in my ability to create games, but so does making YouTube videos. I could be making a game right now, but I'm not. I'm here talking to you. And so could writing my book. Okay, that puts a dent into creating board games as well. Now, if I was to go into board game design full-time, and I have no intention of doing so, that's what that video is all about, is how to manage these things as a part-time thing on the side of a full-time career. I have no intention of going full-time. But if I did, then yes, I think my output would be more, okay? I currently produce maybe, well, I want to take to Essen Spiel each year, maybe 4 or 5 prototype games, and I aim to get 1 or 2 published each year. So I have 2 games coming out next year. I've got 1 game lined up for the year after that. I've had about 10 games, something like that, published since 2017. So I'm managing about 1 or 2 a year. I think if I was full-time, I could probably double or treble that. So maybe I could produce 8 to 10 prototypes in a year, and then maybe I could get 3 or 4, 5 of them published. I don't know, something like that. I don't think that's going to be enough to give me a full-time income. So I would be inclined to do lots of other things as well if I was a full-time board game designer. Largely just for my own interest, really, to keep me interested. I don't want to get bored, so I think I would be really pushing my YouTube channel, continuing to work on that. I think I would be writing more books and more publications because I really enjoy that, and it's another source of income. I think I would probably offer some sort of consultancy as well. I get a lot of emails off the back of videos like this one, asking me to look at people's games, to look at their rule books, to make a call, a Zoom call or a telephone call with them to discuss their game. I decline those things all the time because I don't have time. This isn't my full-time job, and it's not my #1 focus in my life. So I don't do any consultancy right now. I will have a look at sell sheets. If people send me a sell sheet, I'll give them some ideas. Or if they want to send me a very short video of their game, 2 minutes or so, I'll have a look and give them some thoughts if I'm able. But I don't charge for that stuff, and I don't intend to get out there and start offering myself as a board game design consultant. But I think if I was full-time, I probably would. So yes, my output for board games would be increased a bit, but I don't think it would be increased, you know, dramatically compared to where it is now. Next question then came from a video called How to Make a Rulebook for a Game Using Canva and Launch Tabletop. I don't think I'm going to show you a clip from this video because the comment I think doesn't particularly relate to the video, but let me read you the comment. Love these videos, I'm passionate about games and creating them, and I've created one that I love playing, and I've play tested multiple prototypes and rules, and it's loads of fun with friends. But I just don't know what's next. It's originally a PS2 game, and I don't have the rights to the logos, etc. But in terms of all creation of rules and builds, they're mine. Fantastic, congratulations on creating a game that your friends enjoy. That's brilliant. That's no mean feat. You've done really well to do that. In terms of what's next, well, I've got tons of videos on this channel about what to do with your prototype ideas. Come on to look back through the videos on this channel. You'll find videos about getting published, how to get published, how to find publishers, all that stuff, what publishers want. There's loads of stuff here which will tell you how to get started with getting your game made. But there is a point here about it being a PS2 game and you not having the rights to the logos and so on. And that's a bit of a non-starter, unfortunately. A lot of people go into design like, in fact I did. One of the very first designs I made was licensed off Super Bomberman. Super Bomberman the board game is what I was aiming for. And I had no intention of getting it published, but then once I'd made a game that I was really happy with, suddenly I thought, oh, I can't get this made because how would I ever get the rights? The truth is that if a publisher wants to create a game that is licensed around an intellectual property, they will obtain the intellectual property first, and then they will approach a game designer that they know and ask them to create the game for them. In the vast majority of cases, that's how it works. Okay, there are not really many, or I'm not aware of any, I'm sure there have been cases, but I'm not aware of cases where people have presented a game with an IP attached and the publisher runs with it. There must be cases where it's happened, but it is not the norm. The norm is completely the other way around. Publisher leads, game designer is chosen and commissioned by that publisher, and that's how the licensed games come about. So my advice to this viewer who's made a game based around a PS2 game would be to remove all references to that game from their prototype. So change the characters to different characters, made up characters, change the setting to a new made up setting, change the theme a little bit, remove all artwork, all reference to that original game. And you can create something that exists in a generic sort of world, not even generic necessarily, a made up world that is somewhat similar to the world of that video game, but it's not the same. If you imagine you had made a game with the IP of Star Wars, right? You could strip out all references to Star Wars and characters within that and turn your game into just a game about space battles or characters living in this sci-fi world with aliens around them, okay? It doesn't have to be Han Solo and Princess Leia and Luke Skywalker and Jedis and Wookiees, okay? It could be about any group of aliens and space warriors and spaceships. And that is something you can present to a publisher. And do you know what? They might even choose to go out and pick up that license if they think it would be appropriate, if they think it would fit. Although I wouldn't bank on that, okay? I would be trying to create your game in a world that you've made, even if it's somewhat inspired by that original IP that you started with. So that's all the comments that I've looked at this time. As I say, keep an eye out for my new book when it arises in the next couple of weeks. So that's Adam in Wales playtesting, which will be available from Amazon. And I'll see you next time. If you want to watch another video like this one, follow one of the links.